Full Circle is sponsored by Circle City Annuity Source, providing advice with annuities, Social Security planning, and guaranteed income for life.
Hi, I'm Susanne McAlister. Thanks for joining us today. You're watching Full Circle, and we have a great show lined up for you. Coming up in our musical showcase, we are featuring Alana Story. Now, Alana Story actually is comprised of two sisters, Anna and Allie, and they're going to tell us how they are changing lives through their music. But first, a lady who is changing lives by helping people hear better is Susanne Rardin. She is the founder and owner of Hear Here, providing discreet hearing solutions. Susan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about the fact that hearing loss is preventable, and even though 10 million Americans or more have hearing loss, we're just not doing what we should be doing, are we?
We're not, and we all tend to think that, especially when we're young, that it won't happen to us. And there are so many things in our lives that are very, very noisy. And they've really only recently begun to have warnings on these products. But for many years, there was nothing. It was just your own common sense to determine whether or not this product was a bit loud.
For instance, what would be some of those loud products?
Things we use every day: vacuum cleaners, lawn mowers. A lot of children's toys and games are excessively loud. And of course, we're all concerned these days about the IP3s and the iPod players and people wearing headphones and listening to that. Even scarier is when I see people mowing their lawn with their headphones on. Because at that point, then, they've turned the headphones up so they can hear over the lawnmower noise. So you were already at a dangerous noise level with the lawnmower, and now you've just increased what you're directly putting into your ears.
So we really need to get with it when it comes to taking care of our hearing.
We do, and it's really very simple. Earplugs are available almost everywhere. You can find them at grocery stores and drugstores. Nice, small, soft foam earplugs, and they'll last you a long time. And they're also good to help you sleep at night if your spouse is a snorer.
That's a good point. Now, are all earplugs created equal? Because I tend to take them when I'm on an airplane.
The majority that the public has access to have a noise reduction rating, usually of between 20 and 25 decibels when properly inserted, and there's usually instructions on the package to tell you how to do that. People who are musicians, construction workers, people who maybe are exposed to different types of noise, or the musicians who still want to reduce the noise level but still maintain the frequencies that they're trying to hear, there are special plugs that can be created just for them.
Okay, and as an audiologist with your own practice, you see people in all ranges of their hearing loss or perhaps their good hearing. So you know firsthand what it's like for someone to lose their hearing.
It is. It's really quite devastating, and it's especially disturbing when we're driving down the road and you hear that car just vibrating and you can feel the transmission of that energy. Noise-induced hearing losses have a real unique pattern to them. They basically, the low frequencies and mid frequencies tend to stay fairly normal, but then the high frequencies, you'll see a big drop, and then it'll pop back up in the super high frequencies. And this is what we call a noise notch. Now, that's typically the noise notch that we saw for industry exposure to noise from machinery, but I worry about what we're going to see with the music and the way it's all turned up, especially the bass, because those are really big waveforms, very destructive.
Wow. See, I'm learning something every day when I talk with you. Well, you have brought in some equipment, and you're actually going to give me a hearing test. Why should we get a baseline hearing test, Susan?
Everyone should have a baseline test, especially at least when you have graduated high school, because you're not going to have that regular every other hearing test like you had in school. After that point, it becomes your responsibility. You need to know where you stand so that you can see if there's something that's going on in your life, whether it's noise or some medical condition that's coming along. A friend of mine had me do a hearing test on him, and lo and behold, he had a surgically treatable hearing loss.
Wow.
Which no one really wants to have surgery, but most people, when they're given the ability to fix their hearing loss, are elated, because most hearing losses, the only thing you can do is wear hearing aids.
Well, let's go ahead, and you're going to give me the test. Now, this is a beep test.
This is the air conduction hearing test, where you listen for the beeps, and you will then indicate when you've heard them.
All right, so we've got some equipment here. What am I supposed to do?
We're going to put the red headphone on your right ear.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
What?
And then when you hear the beeps, you'll push this button.
Okay, and I'll also say, and this is what you would do in your office?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's pretty standard procedure.
So for those of you at home, what we're going to do is Susan's going to start the test. So weird, I can barely hear. We're going to start the test. We're going to go through the commercial break, and then we'll give you the results afterwards. So, okay. So
all right.
It's just this simple.
Here we go.
No needles.
Of course not. No,
Right, now I touch this, and I'll raise my hand when I hear a sound.
Or just why don't you either push the button and say yes.
Okay.
That would be easier.
All right. I hope
right.
I can hear okay.
Here we go. This is going to be in your left ear.
Yes. 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 I'm not hearing anything.
That's all right. There's always going to be times when you don't.
Okay.
Good.
This is pretty simple. Yes. Okay, we are going to continue the test. We are going to go to a break. Don't go away. We'll find out how well I'm hearing. Stay with us. Welcome back to Full Circle. Well, if you've just now joined us, the reason I have these headsets on, I've just had a hearing test, a baseline hearing test by Susanne Rardin. She is an audiologist and owner of Hear Here. Her information is up on the screen, and, you know, it was painless. It was absolutely painless.
It is painless, and as I've mentioned, I think people are more concerned about the results than they are about doing the actual test. But a lot of people, they get a lot of anxiety when they're testing, regardless of what kind of a test it is, and they worry that they're not going to do things right.
Well, I did this on TV, so I guess I'm a little anxious about it as well, and I know this is not the most ideal environment in which to take a test like this.
True. Most places have a sound-controlled environment, whether it's in a sound booth or the actual room that you're in is sound-treated. So,
okay, so how did I do?
Well, if we look at your hearing test, this graph here is called an audiogram, and it shows loudness that gets louder as you go down the graph according to pitch, ranging from low pitch to mid pitch to high pitch. The X's are your left ear, and the circles are the right ear.
Okay.
Normal hearing is 0 to 25 for adults. So anything above 25 decibels is considered normal. So we go by pitch by pitch by pitch. And I made an indication when you told me that you could hear that pitch. So I'd make it louder and louder and louder until you responded. And then we plotted it on this graph. So your left ear, you are normal in the low frequencies and the middle frequencies. But then when we got to the really high pitches, there was a definite decline. Now, it would be considered borderline normal in the high frequencies. But I tested it and tested it and tested it. And it seemed to show that there was a little bit of decrease for you in the high frequencies for the left ear.
Huh, that's interesting.
We have a
Should I be
similar-
worried about that?
No, it's unfortunately the way the human body ages is we all tend to lose the high frequencies as we go along. It's kind of like when we all need readers for our vision.
Okay, yeah, I've got my glasses on too.
And I've got mine. Your right ear showed a very, very similar pattern, normal, normal, normal. But then once again, when we got to the really high pitches, it started to go down. But uniquely enough, that right ear popped back up.
Well, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
So what in real life would be the high pitches? So what am I missing?
Think about the sound of a microwave going off.
Okay.
That's probably about the range that you start to taper off a little bit. And what this can result in for you in real life is that maybe in a noisy environment, a crowded room, that you feel like you don't understand what people are saying, that you see them talking, but you may not follow the conversation as well as you used to. Or if people will tell a joke, and they'll tell the joke, and they get to the end, and then they'll lower their voice for the punchline, and you miss the punchline. It causes us to make mistakes, and it often leads to us not wanting to participate fully in life because we get frustrated with appearing silly or stupid.
Gee, I don't know if I like this result here, but I'm glad I have it so that if I am in a situation, I'll know why I'm not hearing the punchline.
Exactly.
Because I never remember jokes anyway.
Well, and I can't tell a joke, so.
Okay, so let's make the leap. Not that this is the case in my situation, but research is showing that people that have significant hearing loss, there's a link to the hearing loss and dementia and Alzheimer's. And it's relatively new information. Tell me a little bit about that.
It is relatively new information, and the link that they're seeing is literally a link. They're not having a cause and effect, but the thought process is that there are many similarities in the underlying factors, and the link is between Alzheimer's and untreated hearing loss. So people who do something about their hearing problem not only make everyone else around them happier, but they're getting better input into their auditory system, and that better input allows us to stay in touch with our environment and our people and our world. And I think that's really what creates this link between the two, is the constantly deciding to not do the things you used to do anymore. And you withdraw.
Sure, and that cognitive decline that can begin to happen if you can't hear.
You withdraw, and then that's auditory deprivation, visual deprivation. You're no longer stimulating your mind. You're not stimulating your emotion and your social aspects of your life. And it's just a continual withdrawal from life.
Now, you have a grid. Why don't you just pick two of those out and compare and contrast with us, because we're almost out of time.
Well, this is from the chart, symptomatic similarities between untreated hearing loss and Alzheimer's disease. And the one that really stands out the most to me is depression, anxiety, and feelings of isolation. Which you see in untreated hearing loss compared to depression, anxiety, and disorientation with the Alzheimer's disease. And then the reduced cognitive input is another for both of those. And I think it all relates. It's just, the old saying about you output what you input.
Very, very helpful information. And picking up a fact, Ronald Reagan was the first president to ever wear a hearing aid. And also, as we know, later in life, he did have that Alzheimer's and some dementia. Well, if you are concerned about your hearing loss, or perhaps you're not concerned about it, but you want to get that baseline test, do reach out to Susan. You saw how easy it was here on the program. You too can find out just where you are on that continuum of your hearing. I'd like to thank Susan Rardin. She is the owner of Hear Here, providing discreet hearing solutions. Go to her website, give her a call, and stay with us, because we're going to listen to some music after this. Welcome back to Full Circle. I want to mention something about Susan Rardin, who was on the earlier part of the program. If you would like to have a complimentary baseline hearing, it is complimentary, so be sure and reach out so that you too can save your hearing. Well, We mentioned earlier that our guests on today's program are changing lives. Well, our guests in this segment are changing lives through their worship music. It is my pleasure to introduce the group called Alana Story. Here to tell us about their musical career, we have sisters Anna and Allie. It is great to have you both here.
Thanks for having us.
And now you both went like this at the same time.
Sisters.
It's almost like you're twins.
Yeah.
I have 3 sisters, and it's a blessing to have a sister, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So when you were growing up, let's start with you, Anna. Did you sing together when you were little? Tell me what that was like growing up.
We did, yeah. And we have 2 other siblings too. And one of my favorite memories as a kid was every Saturday night we'd get together as a family and we'd have family devotions.
Yes.
And we'd gather in our living room and we would all just grab whatever instrument we got our hands on. Mm-hmm. And we would just worship together and sing. And our dad would lead it and our mom would play tambourine and sing. And we just, that was our heritage, and we did that every week.
And you grew up to have your worship music, so obviously that experience has really paid off. So what are some memories that you have, Allie?
I think that was a big one for us. We also were very involved in our church and in our worship band through middle school and high school, and that was a big part of just cultivating our passion for worship and for music and eventually songwriting. So we spent a ton of time just investing in our church where we were at, just learning how to be in a band and learning how to play and sing and all that.
So how was that transition from, going from your living room to actually performing and really reaching out to thousands and thousands of young kids?
Yeah, it was a slow kind of progression. It didn't just happen overnight. And I think our biggest kind of a testament to our ministry is that we've just walked through doors that have been open, and they started small, and God promises that if you're faithful with the little things, He will entrust you with more, and that's just been the steps that we followed. And so little by little He just began to give us more territory and more opportunities until now, when we do get these incredible opportunities that they don't seem as huge because it's been a slow progression for us.
And that's always nice sometimes, so that you learn along the way and take those little steps. So how would you describe the pursuit of your music? What are you trying to hope that when someone hears you, they'll go away with?
From the beginning of the ministry, it's always come from a place of just our brokenness and how God has used that to cultivate and to shape us into who we are now. And that's a big part of the music that we share and our story that we share when we go to the places that God sends us. And so I think just giving people that hope that no matter who they are or where they come from, that there is a God that is so in love with them and so faithful and won't give up on them no matter what label life has put on them or how they feel about themselves, that there is a God that is greater and bigger than all of that. I think that that's a big message that we want to just leave with people when we go places.
And what a message of hope, and that is so thrilling that you are doing that. So what has been the hardest part of this journey for you, Anna?
Oh my goodness. I think it's really hard because we never know what's next. That's kind of our life, is that it seems like it's always a season of transition, which is hard for somebody that likes to know what's next, but it puts us in a place to completely be dependent upon the Lord, to open the next door and to say, okay, this is where I'm sending you next. And so it's so good because we're completely reliant, but it's hard to live that way. I think it's probably the most challenging.
But being able to surrender to His plan for you, and obviously the plan was to bring you here today to our program Full Circle. Our guests are Allie and Anna. They are the group called Alana Story. They are from Washington. They grew up in Florida. They ended up at Anderson University in Indiana, and they are going to perform after this break. Don't go away.
Musical Showcase is brought to you by Flanner and Buchanan, helping families tell the story of their loved one's life. Musical Showcase is brought to you by Flanner and Buchanan, helping families tell the story of their loved one's life.
Welcome back to Full Circle. Well, earlier we heard a little bit of the backstory of our musical group, Alana Story. It's sisters, Anna and Allie, I can't wait to hear you perform. Now, there's another person with us.
There is. This is my husband, Ben, back there on the drum.
So you have a number of people that sing and perform with you as well, don't you?
We do. There are 5 of us, and Allie's husband as well is one of our musicians that plays with us too.
Wow, so it's really a family affair, and you go out and change people's lives through your music ministry, don't you?
Yeah, we try. Yeah, Lord willing.
Absolutely. So the song you're going to perform is?
It's called The Cathedral. It's kind of our bluegrass song. It's a fun one.
All right. Well, here to perform The Cathedral, we have Alana Story. We'll see you next time. Full Circle.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Have you really not seen? Have you really not heard? The bells of the cathedral sounding down through the clouds of this old earth. This garden's drying out, and my mind is shutting down, down, down. But I need to get away, to be far, far away to the cathedral on the mount. Now we'll go to the cathedral on the mount. In my mind, the last be left alone with the bread and wine. Is I kneel at the altar as the priest locks up my bed. You fill my cup, and may that ring, Lord, be enough. My mind is in the clouds, while my body's on the earth. Oh, what a battle between heart and head, between sky and dirt. Yeah. Who I am torn in two. I long to be with you alone, so I live in my mind to redemption's time when that cathedral's made my home. Yeah. Whoa, oh, oh. Now we'll go to the cathedral on the mount. My night will last be left alone with the bread and wine. As I kneel at the altar as the priest locks up my bed. You fill my cup, and may the drink, Lord, be enough. Take one, Allie. My mind at last be left alone with the bread and wine. As I kneel at the altar as a priest locks up my bed. You fill my cup.
Closed captioning provided by Hear Here. Hear Here, discrete hearing solutions at affordable prices. 317-731-5386.